Hello, welcome to episode 20, in which I'm having a particularly bad hair day. I apologise, I went to bed with it wet. I'm joined this week by Lou Dickens, the granddaughter of MP Geoffrey Dickens, who was the first MP to highlight satanic ritual abuse. Lou is John Wedge's right-hand woman in the John Wedge Foundation, so hello, Lou.
Hello, thank you for having me.
What was it like having a granddad like Geoffrey Dickens? What was it like for him, just being the first MP to kind of bring all this to light? Was there a lot of ridicule with it? Or
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot of unfair ridicule. Grandad died when I was 8, so I was still quite young and didn't really understand what Grandad did.
Yeah.
I just knew when the news came on and the bell went on Big Ben, I knew Grandad worked there.
Right.
And that's all I knew when I was little. Just Grandad works there. So I remember a few things. I remember it was all about the children when I was little. I remember he had this huge house, and in one of the bedrooms there was a load of merchandise, and it was all, he ran a campaign saying it's okay to say no.
Okay.
And he did a song for it. He did school activity books. He had the T-shirts. He had the umbrellas. It was like I remember he had this big bright, he had like a box of them, these big bright yellow umbrellas, and they had "It's okay to say no" on. And so I remember when I was little that Grandad was all about supporting children.
Yeah.
But for me, being 7 or 8, that went over my head. I just wanted to play with a load of umbrellas and run around the house like Mary Poppins.
And stuff,
Yeah. He did that campaign with the former boxer, well, I think he's still boxing actually, Nigel Benn.
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember in that room there was this huge picture of Grandad and Nigel Benn. They both signed it. God knows where it is now. So he, like Nigel Benn, came on board with the campaign to protect children, and it was all about giving children a voice and letting them know that it was okay to say no. Say no, just don't get in cars with strangers, because that was the era, wasn't it? Come look at my puppies.
I had 3. I've mentioned this before. I had 3 encounters where I nearly got molested off. It's another story, that kind of.
Yeah.
With the 80s, there was a lot of. It's always kind of there, like, you know what I mean. But
yeah.
So how did he uncover the satanic ritual abuse aspect of it? Do you know much about it?
So from what I know, from what I've learnt through speaking to MPs, to lords, to people that Grandad was connected to at the time, I keep asking the question: what spurred him on? What made him go down this path? Because it's no secret that when Grandad was 12, he contracted polio.
Okay.
And he didn't have the best of parents, and he was put in the hospital for 2 years. And he didn't get a single visitor in those 2 years. Not one person went to see him, and so he was in hospital by himself for 2 years. And I often thought, did something happen there? Is that what the trigger was? Did something happen to him? Did he see something that didn't sit right with him? What was it? Because before he was an MP, he lived in St Albans, and when he was there, he set up kind of like a scouts for boys and things, because there was nothing for the boys in the village to do. So he set up like a boys' brigade.
Yeah.
He did football coaching for them. He did everything, and then all the local people proposed Grandad proposed that he became councillor. Then they put him forward for mayor. Then they put him forward for county councillor. And then he ended up standing for Parliament. And it was kind of the community that was pushing Grandad, because from what I've learned from my dad, Grandad was like, no, I'm fine. I'll just keep. So he was always very, very focused on providing services for the children, providing a safe place, providing them something to do. He was always very focused on that. So I was thinking, did something happen there which spurred him on? Is that what it was? Then I've spoken to other people that knew Grandad and have researched all his work and things like that. And I think the turning point for Grandad was when Cyril Smith he was in the neighbouring constituency to Grandad.
Rochdale, Smith,
And Grandad was Littleborough and Saddleworth.
Yeah.
So I believe the turning point was when Cyril Smith was coming into children's homes on Grandad's patch and abusing children on Grandad's patch. That's what I've been told. That was the point where Grandad went, boom, no.
Yeah.
And so he was quoted as saying in the press that when he handed in the dossiers, which he did to Leon Britton, which we can talk about, when he handed those in, he'd said, when it comes to friends, because one of his friends was on this list, when it comes to friends, protecting children always comes first. It always comes first, and that's how loyal and that's how strong he was about protecting children. But to me, I think at that time when Grandad was doing this, he had my older brother, so he already had it. He's got his 2 sons. He had my older brother was already born, and he knew his family was safe.
Yeah.
He knew that we were all okay. I came along, my little sister and stuff like that. And he knew we were all fine. But yet he still put his life on the line, which he did, to protect all the other children.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes me love him so much, because he could have turned a blind eye like everybody else does.
Of course.
Everybody else does.
Take the checks and just don't,
Exactly. He could have quite easily just gone, well, my nest is fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about everybody else, because that's what everybody else does.
Yeah.
No one else tackles this the way that he did, and nobody else has since.
No
one before, no one since. Where are all our members of parliament? Why are they not in absolute uproar about the abuse that's gone on historically, about what's going on right now, and about the whole COVID thing?
Yeah.
Like, I was speaking at a protest a few weeks ago in London with Piers Corbyn, and I first of all I said and it was an anti-lockdown protest, and I said I'm here to represent the children, all the children that are suffering in this lockdown, and it infuriates me because there are so many children that aren't very well looked after, but they're not under care plans. So social services don't have a foot in the door with them. But we know, as other parents at the school, we know as teaching assistants, my mum's a teaching assistant in a school, she knows there's certain children that aren't going home to loving families, but they're not under care plans. So all these children that were out of school for all that time, at school we provide them with support, we provide them with a safe place, we provide them with a hot meal, we provide them with that reassuring touch on the arm. It's that lovely connection that children have with their school teachers and their teaching assistants and the dinner ladies and stuff. I remember when I was little, when I was at primary school, I loved my dinner lady. She was called Mrs. Turner. And I remember if I had a rough time at playtime, when kids are being kids and kids are horrible, aren't they? And I remember I'd go see Mrs. Turner and she'd wrap her arm and I'd just have a cuddle with it. And I loved it. I absolutely, and I'm 33 now and I still remember that from being in like year 4, year 5. And all these children that are locked away with parents without full support right now.
You're not that bothered about them and giving them Billy Burr ham and turkey twizzlers once a week or something,
And it's desperately sad. It's so sad. So that's the biggest bugbear for me in this whole lockdown is the children that are being forgotten about.
Yes,
that little gap in the middle, the ones that aren't on care plans, the ones that don't have it breaks my heart. It really, really breaks my heart.
I mean, the whole thing is the virus is secondary to everything else they're doing in it, but
it is.
Did your granddad...
Sorry, I digress.
No, it's okay. You can do what you want here.
I digress.
You can do what you want here. That's the rules. There are no rules. Did your granddad ever have any threats to his life for what he was getting involved in and what he was exposing?
He did. So, so we started talking about, didn't we, about Cyril coming in, and we know now that Cyril Smith was a paedophile, and from speaking to some victims of his, I am 99% certain he is a Satanist, a Satanist, and that was on Grandad's doorstep, and he was outing that. He was publicly outing that. He was campaigning against child abuse, and then in the early 90s or the late 80s, he came across SRA, satanic ritual abuse, and we know that's where all the big players are. So you have your regular paedophiles, your creepy Tim down the road. You have your...
They carry a bag in an anorak.
Exactly. You have them. So the big wigs aren't really that bothered about you outing them.
No.
They don't care about that.
Gets the heat off them, doesn't it, kind of thing.
Exactly. Look that way while we do this over here. So whilst he was doing that, there wasn't really much heat because he was, they don't care about them. And when he then came across satanic ritual abuse, that's when the heat started coming. That's when things started getting a bit hairy for him. He's quoted in Hansard as saying he had bugs put in his London flat. His London flat was bugged. He had his London home burgled twice. And he had his name appear on a serial killer's hit list.
Really?
Yeah. So he was, I think his exact words were, as I named high profile politicians involved in this, the noose around my neck grew tighter. And that's such a powerful thing to say.
He was a tough man though, he was a boxer, wasn't he? He could do a bit though, couldn't he? So,
I'm sure, I'd read somewhere, I read, I think he'd had 40 bouts and he won 39 of them.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy. He was a really cool guy.
With that kind of thing going on, the threats and things. So what inspired you to take up the mantle of his legacy?
Grab the baton.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
Yeah, grab the baton. So when I was little, I was talking to John about this. I am the middle child. My mum will laugh at that. I am the middle child. I always looked to my granddad, even from being tiny. I remember, I've got a photo on my dressing table every morning when I put my war paint on. There's a photo of my granddad holding me as a baby. Yeah. And it kind of, that's my thing every morning.
Your inspiration.
Exactly. Keep going. Come on, I'm with you. I've got you. My granddad's holding me and he's so happy and so smiling. And that's just, it's stunning for me. And so when I was little, I was always my granddad's girl. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so my brother, he was always quite cool. He's 5 years older than me. He was always off doing his own thing. And my little sister, she was the baby. She was born quite premature, so she was always mollycoddled. And then there was me, just kicking around, what do I kind of? And so my granddad, he saw that in me. And so it was my granddad would always make time for me. He would always, it was always me and granddad.
Doing stuff.
We always, he was always singing and dancing, and it was so much fun to be around. He was always just really, really good company. Everyone had a good time when he was around. And I was really, really close to granddad. And then when he died, I was lost. I was absolutely lost. And I was only 8. But I remember, yesterday.
It's quite young then you lost your granddad,
Yeah, I remember the pain. Yeah, it absolutely destroyed me when granddad passed. And I remember, because I was so young, but it just really, really hurt me. It really, really hurt me. So my Nana Norma, granddad's wife, she took on the role of kind of, looking after me. Job. Yeah, just looking after me. Yeah. And she was wonderful. She died a few years ago. So because I was always my granddad's girl, which I was, and I'm the double of him as well, which is quite funny. My brother and my sister don't look anything. It's really, really weird. It's so weird.
Are you a good boxer as well?
Oh, should we try?
No, I'm not. I couldn't fight my way into a wet paper bag, to be honest with you.
Let your hair do the talking.
No, I'm just I'll leave me. So people feel sorry for me. Look at me and go.
Yeah, just leave him.
But so what?
So so as I grew older, I started Googling Grandad to learn more about him because, we didn't really talk much about Grandad's work at all. Like I said, when I was little, I just knew we worked at Big Ben. That was it. I remember he took us to Commons and things like that, and we'd always go into London and stuff, but I didn't know what he did. No. So as I got older, I started Googling, and then I was finding half of the things wonderful, all these wonderful reports. And then the other things were, what a buffoon, red top newspaper, rent a quote, Billy Bunter, all these horrific things. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, what the hell is going on here? And I was so confused. So me being me,
Yeah.
obviously keep digging
Yeah.
and keep digging to find out what's going on. So I did, and then realised how much he did on protecting children.
Right.
And then I then went. So I'd been digging around on this, doing a few things for a couple of years, and then I went to a local Conservative lunch,
Okay.
and I knew Edwina Curry was going to be there. And at home, I've got an awful lot of my granddad's stuff, and I had this letter off Edwina Curry to my granddad. So I dug it out, put it in my handbag.
Yeah.
And then I go off to this afternoon tea, and I miraculously end up sitting next to Edwina Curry. So we sit there, we're having a lovely chatter and stuff, and it was all lovely. And then I'd not introduced myself properly.
Yeah.
And then I reached down to my bag and I pull out the letter and I said, I believe you know my granddad. And she nearly fell off a chair.
Right.
And I went, lovely to meet you. I'm Louise. And she was like, oh, good gracious. She was asking if I was going to follow him into politics and things like that. And I said, I don't know. I'm umming and ahhing and stuff. And I said, what can you tell me about him? So she told me some lovely, lovely stories about him, about how when they used to, I don't know if they still do, when they're going into Parliament for the day, to reserve your seat, you get a prayer card and you write your name on the prayer card and you go put it in the back of your bench.
Right.
So that reserves your seat. Because obviously there's not enough seats for the amount of parliamentarians.
Yeah.
So she was saying that when they go early to reserve their seats, waiting for the doors to open, there would be like a gang of them outside. And she said that Grandad would entertain them all with stories and this, that and the other. And he'd be the one like entertaining everybody.
And entertainer.
Exactly, yeah. And he'd keep everybody all entertained. Then, so she told me some lovely, lovely stories about Grandad. And then she said, she asked me again, like, am I going into politics? And I was umming and ahhing. And then she said, actually, no, you should. You know how forthright she is.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, then I will. So I went, that was on a Friday afternoon. Monday morning, I was at my local Conservative office having a meeting with the chair of the Conservative, my branch. And I said, right, I'll stand, I'll do it. So I got a seat, got a seat, ran my election literature, everything, did it all. Lost my first election.
I've stood independent around here twice.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
This place is like predominantly Labour. You know, the old joke, you could put Hitler up or a Nazi and they just vote because it's red. But this is not about this. I'm going, but so your campaign, you lost.
So I lost my first one. And I was gutted because I think I lost over a stone while I was out campaigning.
Through the stress of it all, yeah.
No, I was just walking the streets. I was pounding the streets. I was like my granddad because I always remember whenever anyone described my granddad, he was a people's politician. I knocked on every single door.
I did it basically last time. I'm 5,000 days on myself, kind of. It is hard going, and it kind of thing. Dodgy dogs and angry people and.
There was one. Talk about dogs. We had a letterbox, and on the outside, because you post your literature through. If they're not in, I'll call back or ring me. This, that, and the other. And there was a little sticker on this letterbox, and it said, "Please don't put your hand all the way in."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is interesting. So I pushed it through, and a few of the old school ones told me to always take a wooden spoon with me.
That's a clever idea, actually.
Take a wooden spoon to push your literature through, right? So obviously I had to have a peek through this letterbox to see what was going to get me. And it was a cat. This cat sat at the back of the letterbox, and when you put your fingers through, this cat came up and got you. It was so funny.
That really is a lost art. You expect flying arrows come out when you're or something like that.
What's
and then you hear
that
that thump of two big paws on the door, like.
Yeah,
and then,
boom. Yeah, but it was this cat. It just sit there and wait for the post to come and get the postman's finger. It was so funny. So I lost my first one, and I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. And then a couple of months later, there was a by-election.
Okay.
And so I stood for that, and I won.
Right.
I was elated. I was absolutely elated. I got in, and I thought, that's it. I've made it. I've made it. I could do something now. I'm a councillor. I can make changes. This is amazing, right? And I remember I was so pumped up. I was a woman on a mission. Like, I had my iPad, I read every agenda, I read every minutes that had previously been for that year. I was a workaholic. And I campaigned to get safeguarding training in for all of our taxi drivers. Okay. Taxi drivers, they're amazing. They're in the community. Everybody, like, vulnerable families don't drive. They rely on taxis an awful lot of the time. A lot of vulnerable children get taxis to and from school. So these are the people that are looking at our community's children day in, day out, and they don't know red flags. Why not? Why are we not doing that? We DBS check them and we give them a license, but they're having contact with our children. Why are we not training them on what to look for? So I got that implemented. Win, right? Then I moved on to the safeguarding team. And I wanted to be safeguarding spokesperson, safeguarding champion for my local council, so that I could then have more of a say on how we deal with the safeguarding in our area. Because although I come from a really, really nice area, there's a real underbelly of poverty. And with it being quite a small town, I know what goes on. So I really, really wanted that, and I pushed for that. So I got a meeting with my council leader, with the CEO, got this meeting through. Right, yes, Lou, you can be safeguarding champion, in the bag, brilliant, work on it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm moving up, everything, started planning all this stuff that I could do. I was so fired up. And then a couple of days later, I got a phone call from my leader and said, actually, Lou, I've been thinking about it. What we're going to do is we're going to leave this other chap, I won't name names. He's going to have this safeguarding spokesperson role, but you can do all the work. Hang on a minute. Why?
He's higher.
So I realised that. So I thought about it. I thought, what's going on here? Why do they not want me to be it? What have I done wrong? And then I learned, after looking into it more, council procedures and democracy and things like that, because obviously I was quite new, that if you are a champion or a spokesperson for a certain group on the council, you automatically get a place on corporate board. And corporate board is like the head of council, basically. And because I was too much of a loose cannon on council, I couldn't be allowed on there, because I may speak out against my leader.
And do you think it was because of your Geoffrey Dickens' granddaughter as well?
I think it was because, so previously, my council had put forward not a sheltered housing scheme, an affordable housing scheme, right? And I read it was like 70 odd pages long, read this proposal. And we were going to build houses and then sell them as affordable housing. So where you can buy half of it and then buy another quarter and this, that and the other. But I was looking at our profit margins and I thought, we are making a lot of money off this. I don't like this. So I then had a meeting with the director of our council and I said, look, I don't think this is morally right. I don't think we should be making money off of people like me. I'm the audience for affordable housing. I'm a single mum. I'm on a low income. Previously in receipt of not child benefit. Basically child tax credits, things like that. I was in receipt of all this, and I thought, I'm the target audience here. So I had this meeting, and he said, well, this is how it's going to legally work. So I was like, off I go, and I'm still chewing on it. And then we had a group meeting. So before any full council meetings, we always had a group meeting where our Tories would turn up. And I sit there, and then we're talking about this proposal. I put my hand up, I stand up, and I say, I think what we're doing is morally wrong.
Okay.
I don't like it. We're a council. We're here to provide a service. We're profiting off people, and I don't like it. And I got told that I couldn't vote against my own council. I couldn't vote against my party, because we were the group in charge. I couldn't vote against them. I had to abstain. So I was like, Okay, so I go home. The next morning I get a phone call from my local office, and I get really, really told off for starting a revolution against my leader.
Yeah.
And I said, but I haven't. I've just expressed my concerns. I don't like what we're doing. I don't agree with it. And I said again, we're here to provide a service. We're not a business. That's the thing, is we aren't a business. And their justification was the money that we made was going to go back into more housing. And I said, and I don't know. It just, the way it was proposed, it didn't sit right with me. I didn't like it. I just really, really didn't like it. And I just felt there was something not right about it. And because I expressed that, I was then obviously a loose cannon. So that had happened previously to my safeguarding thing. So because I'd gone against my leadership with that, if I was allowed on corporate board and I didn't agree with something else, they may lose votes and they may lose proposals that they're putting forward if I decide to vote against, because I'm not a guaranteed yes woman. Because I'm sorry, but I will not vote for something because I'm told to. I will not vote for something because I'm told to. I will vote for something if I believe in it. And if I don't believe that it's the right thing, I'm not voting. I will abstain if I'm not allowed to vote against, because that was couldn't believe that. Yeah, you can look up my voting history because I abstained from quite a few things that I didn't really agree with. And it was all block vote. It was all block voting. We would be told who was going to, it was so controlled. And this was on such a low level. This was the district council, and it was so controlled and bullied. And the thing that really, really got me was these people, they may well be lovely people. The other people in my party that were on the council, my other councillors, they may well be lovely, right? But they are making life-changing decisions for people like me. And all these people turned up to these meetings in their beautiful clothes and their beautiful posh voices, and they've come from their wonderful country estates, and they are terribly, terribly rich. Right?
Not a clue.
They don't know what it's like to scrape together £10 to put fuel in your car in flipping 20 pences so you can get your kids to school. They can't relate to the people that we represent. So what the hell are they doing? And it infuriated me. It infuriated me. And these people would sit there and they would vote through anything they were told to. They were all yes men. And I think there was 2 people in my party that actually understood real life, but they wouldn't vote against the leader. They wouldn't go against the leadership.
Because they wanted to keep their positions and just...
and keep collecting their money.
Of course.
Their allowance, their expenses. And it infuriated me, Jimmy. So I stopped going to meetings. I thought, what is the point of this? What am I representing? I'm not representing the people that voted for me. I'm representing my leadership that's telling me what to do.
And you wasn't you couldn't really change anything from that perspective because it was all like a control framework of...
There was nothing I could have done. And I thought, like I said, when I got elected, I was like, this is brilliant. Oh my God, I'm in a prime position. I can start working towards helping people. I can implement things. And I was so excited. And they literally bullied it out of me to the point where I thought, what's the point? What is the point? There's nothing I can do here. So I stood down and I learned I can do so much more by myself. I don't need a flipping title in front of my name.
Off the lead with no restraints kind of thing.
Go rogue. Rogue. I have achieved more since I've been out of council than I did when I was in, because I was so restricted by democratic policies and rules and regulations and I was so, and I thought, what, this is so low level and I am so controlled. What am I doing? What am I doing? So like I said, I stood down and I've achieved so much more with my cause since I went rogue than I did in council. So after that, it kind of snowballed from there, because when I was in council, I dated a high profile person and it was linked on Twitter as to who I was, and it ended up all over the press. what happened was I got contacted by a lot of people that knew my granddad, and had gone to my granddad before, like when my granddad was still alive, for help. And then they discovered me online, and then they got in touch with me.
Oh, right.
So I'm still working on a couple of my granddad's old cases back
Right.
from the 80s, which is amazing because
Yeah,
these people, my granddad tried to help all that time ago, and these poor families still haven't had justice.
So it's kind of like chance. I mean, like of, you know, because you got linked to someone and your name came up, and then people just contacted you directly about SRA and abuse kind of thing. So
Yeah, and then it's just kind of snowballed. So I started doing a lot a few years ago, and I was kind of at home tinkering about, doing my own things, and then I rattled one too many cages, and I live by myself. I'm a single mum. I've got two amazing girls. They are amazing. Yeah, I'm blessed with them, and they were still quite young at the time. And then I rattled, like I said, one too many cages, and then I started getting threats.
really, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, my mum, being my mum, freaked, and she was like, "Stop! Don't do any more." And so I put it off for a little while because I thought, yeah, how much can I achieve? Swings around about it. How much am I going to achieve? Is it worth me putting my family in a dangerous position, and a vulnerable position? And when you've got these two beautiful little faces looking up at you, I kind of had to think, no, I'm probably not in the best place right now to be doing this. That was a few years ago.
What kind of threats were they? Is it like some mysterious voice on the end of a phone saying like, just stop what you're doing, you know what's good for you kind of thing? Zzz.
No, it wasn't that dramatic.
No,
that would have been quite cool though, wouldn't it? No, it was letters, emails, and like direct messages and stuff.
Right, yeah. I remember I read a book a few years ago. It was a guy called Charles Walker, and it was called Clapham: The Demonic Connection.
Oh, right.
And he was getting all he investigated in Clapham woods and saw all this satanic artwork there, and and then somebody knocked him off his bike, and he was getting all them phone calls, saying like just stop what you're doing. All that. So it's quite early what you're doing. So how did you end up pairing up with John and John Wedger in the foundation?
Yeah. So after that, I went quiet again, and kind of went back to just teetering away at home, doing my own bits of research, but very, very quietly. And then a video of John popped up, and he was speaking highly of Grandad. And whenever anyone does that, I always drop them a message and just say thank you for remembering him, because it keeps him alive and it keeps his spirit alive, and how brave he was. And he died in 95, and people still remember him. People still talk about his bravery. So it really, really touches me whenever anyone does that.
Yeah.
So John was talking about Grandad, and so I just dropped him a message and just said, thank you, just from me to you. Thank you for remembering him. And then John, being John, on the phone, all right, Lou. So we had a natter and stuff, and then we stayed in touch on the phone. And then we did a few bits together. And then it kind of, then it kind of just like snowballed from there. And then we just, then he brought me on board to be management for the North. So he covers the South, I cover the North. And it's just kind of organically grown now to a point where we're running seriously good work.
Yeah.
But I'm at a point in my life now as well where I've got really good protection at home. My girls are very, very safe. And I'm very safe.
Are you like property not guarded with like guards and stuff? But do you have?
That's exactly what I've got.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
I've got dogs. I've got a couple of Rottweilers. No.
I could do that. I've stopped kids playing football. A gun tower.
Yeah. Oh, I need to get that built on top of my house.
But so what was it? Just like does the Wedger Foundation have their own people who like?
Well, I've moved my dad in.
That'd be that.
I've moved my dad in, Jeffrey's son. So and he's like my granddad. He's tough as anything.
Yeah.
Anyone tries to get to my girls, they've got to get through my dad first, and I wouldn't put anyone in that position.
Did your dad never want to carry on the work of, or was he busy with his own life and raising a family and carrying on your granddad's work of?
He was busy. I wouldn't say he was raising a family. He was raising his horses.
Okay.
My mum held the family fort. My dad was a grade A show jumper.
All right.
So he was show jumping here, there, and everywhere. So my childhood was being dragged around huge competitions while my dad rode 20 horses. He'd be paid to ride horses. So people with loads of money want to own big fancy horses that they can't ride. Right. So they pay someone who can ride to do it. So they used to pay my dad, which is really, really cool. So he used to have horses here, there, and everywhere. Right. So that got me and my sister into horses, and then and he'd produce at home as well. And he's like the king of horses. He's worked in every sphere. He knows there's nothing my dad don't know, which is brilliant. Like when I was younger, I never met a vet. Didn't really know what a vet was when I was younger because my dad did everything.
Really?
He just did absolutely everything, which was so cool. So he was off saving the equine world. My granddad was off saving the children, and my mum was at home working a full-time job and raising us. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. It was a really, really cool childhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions here.
All right, shoot.
I think one I wanted to mention then, but I thought, well, it's their question. I don't want to rob somebody of the question. Okay. They have strange. Well, they usually have strange names. Hello, Rubber Dub. What's the worst case of high-profile satanic child sex abuse you've encountered? And do you think it can ever be eradicated from politics and royalty?
Oh, yikes.
Deep one.
That is, isn't it? We could have started on what's your favourite colour.
I know. Do you like mince pies?
No, I'm vegan.
Or is it really? Even the Christmas ones, is that like meat?
No, they're not meat. They're currants and stuff.
I'm not with it, me. I'm very simple. You know what I mean? So.
I bet it's peaceful though in your mind.
It's a dark place. It's just you don't want to know. It's like a merry-go-round in insanity.
So, question: worst case
satanic sex abuse
with high profile. Obviously, I can't name the high-profile people, but I've come across some horrific things.
Yeah.
Some really, really horrific things. There was a boy that was abducted. He was abducted, and for 12 hours, and his story broke my heart. Yeah. And that was 3 high-profile people. I hate calling them VIPs because they're not very important.
No,
they're horrific. They don't even deserve the label of VIP.
No,
I can't stand that. And that was horrific. His story just broke my heart. Yeah. And even though it was a 12-hour section in his life and he was dumped afterwards, but the abuse that he suffered in that time has damaged his entire life.
It's not the same fellow who John mentioned and who picked up in a Rolls Royce? No, is that a different kind of occasion? Yeah. How does it sit? Do you know, seeing that, being witness to all this and hearing all these stories, how does that affect you? Has that affected your own life? Or do you have to learn to switch it off, or can you not switch off thinking about stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me this. How the hell do you deal with real life and normal life? Yeah. How do you deal with somebody moaning about the length of the queue? When people go, oh, for God's sake, my life's so hard, I have to queue for 20 minutes in Tesco's. Yeah. That infuriates me because I think, sweetheart, you don't know what a hard life is. And that does really, really annoy me because I think, people go, God, first world problems. Yeah. Dealing with it, I'm really lucky. I've got amazing friends. Yeah. So when you hear stuff like this, I prefer to talk about it. I prefer to talk to my friends about it. I've got a really, really tight group around me. So I can talk to them and say, this is just below my brains. How the hell do you comprehend it? So I'm very lucky that I can talk about it with people that I trust. Like, obviously, I never reveal names, I never reveal places, things like that. But I can say, oh my gosh, this is heartbreaking. And my mum is amazing. I'm really, really lucky. And that I took my mum up to Scotland last week. We had a demo up there and we had a remembrance service for some children that passed away in a children's home. And I took my mum with me. And I felt guilty, and I said that to my friends up there, to like the gang up there. I said, I feel a bit mean bringing my mum, but because they don't have amazing parents. They don't have a great support network around them. And I said to them, I said, I feel really bad bringing my, it's like, oh, I've got my mum, isn't she amazing? And I did, I said, I'm really, really sorry. And they said, don't apologize. You're so blessed. You're so blessed. And I think my mum's got so much to give that her being around them probably does them good, because she's so sweet and kind and intelligent. She's lovely. But I am conscious. And like they said, don't feel guilt. Don't feel guilt for being blessed to have a lovely mum. Because I do. I think, oh my gosh, I shouldn't parade my mum around. But I don't. I take her because I love her and I want her to be involved, and I want her to cheer me on. And everyone loves their mum. Do you know what I mean?
It's good with it saying your mum's your best friend, isn't she?
Exactly. My mum is. She does my head in sometimes because she's an old fuddy-duddy that drives at 10 mile an hour. But,
that's me, that. I've got a Jaguar V6, but I'm very tight, so I kind of drive at 30 mile an hour to save fuel. Otherwise, it's forget about it kind of thing. But you've had some quite... I saw a video of you and you went to a place called Druid's Temple.
Oh, gosh,
it was like a really sacrificial thing. One question I want to ask you, and do you think all magic is bad? I mean, like, you have like white magic and black magic.
Yeah.
Do you think in your mind, was there no difference in kind of... Do you think in your mind, is there no difference in any of it?
Right, I'll get slated for this. I will get slated, I know I will.
I just wondered kind of thing.
You're just setting me up for the trolls here.
I'm not.
So, no, I'm kidding, darling. So...
We're not like that, really.
The thing that bothers me with paganism and white witches and Wicca, what bugs me with that is they are normalising satanic practices.
Okay.
Right, so they use the pentagram, they feed spirits, they do spirit cooking, all these things that is involved within Satanism, they're using. So that's one thing that really, really bugs me, because if people come across something like I did up at Druids, right, they go, oh, they're just pagans, oh, they're just white witches. Yeah, and they are then normalizing what we're up against. So in turn, they are doing the Satanists a favor, right? So that's one bugbear I have with them. The other is, what they are doing is really, really dangerous. Really, really dangerous. And until you start dealing with demons and spirits and seeing the power that has, you don't understand how dangerous it is. No. And people go, but I'm a pagan. I just worship the earth. Right, well, become a gardener then, sweetheart. If you love horticulture, do gardening, but don't fiddle around with stuff that you don't understand, because that is the most dangerous thing. So what they do is they allow these spirits legal entry. So legal entry to their homes, to their places of worship, to their body. So any spirit that we have on earth, right, it's not a good one. No. The only ones that are here are evil, right? So anything, right, okay, good example. You know, when you go and see a medium,
Yeah.
And they go, oh, your nan's here. She's telling me that she saw you doing this last week and she's so happy, right? These mediums may be sat talking to somebody, but whoever they're talking to, it's not your nan.
No.
Because these demons are so manipulative and they are the masters of disguise, and they will do anything for legal entry into your life. Right?
Interesting.
There is nothing here that is good. Everything that is still here is evil because it didn't pass on to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay? So these pagan and these white witches, they're messing with these demons and these spirits, and they're giving them legal entry, which is in turn giving them more power. Yeah. So they could be influenced by them to then carry out horrific things. There are so many awful things that can come of this, right? So I work very closely with a demonologist.
Wilfred, is this Wilfred Wongs?
No, I work really closely with Wilfred. I love Wilfred. He is...
We want him on the show at some point.
Yes, Wilfred needs to come on. You need to talk to Wilfred. He is amazing. He's amazing. I've got so much time for Wilfred.
Yeah.
He is the kindest man. And he's helped me so much with my faith and my religion. Because I didn't really understand when I started out on this journey how important it is to have Jesus in your heart. I didn't understand that, and Wilfred has taught me so much. He is amazing. He is absolutely amazing. So I work really, really closely with a demonologist, and he's been doing it for 15 years.
Do you think we could get him on, this demonologist person?
I imagine so. Yeah. I'll talk to him.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Carry on. I'm just being disruptive.
No. And he's been doing it about 15, 20 years. And he is an amazing man. And he's got a wonderful team around him. And I work really, really closely with him. He's wonderful. And the knowledge he has. And he was like, because I was talking to him about Wicca and all this and everything. And he says it's so dangerous. The amount of people he has been called to save because they have allowed legal entry of these demons into their homes. And it's so dangerous, but people don't understand. That's the worst thing, is people do not understand what they're dealing with. And he has to go in and save these people. And the things that happen to them are horrific. The I hate saying stories, but the things that my friend has seen and relayed to me in examples are just horrifying. And I mean horrifying I don't know how he deals with it. He deals with it through Jesus, and he finds strength in that.
Kind of an exorcism. Did he do like exorcisms?
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does. And it's, that said, the stories are just terrifying.
Do you think in recent times Satanism is becoming like normalised in the sense? Somebody posted on Facebook, I think it was actually Brian Cockrell, his wife, and there was the pound shop was selling Ouija boards, and I mean,
legal entry.
I would never go near one of them when people have said it, because I've heard so many stories about people messing about with them, then they have they die in a car accident. I've heard so much bad things about them, and now you're selling something like that for £1. And kids might buy one and say, let's do this for a laugh, and it's shocking. But like,
it's terrifying.
Films now, you look at films, they're all dark, and kids' pop videos are like satanic, they're dark, and there's a lot of pentagrams in and whatnot kind of thing. It's like becoming like normalised, isn't it? And everything's really dark.
It is.
You know.
It's people. So after the Druids video, my girls were with me because it's a tourist place, it's a family place.
Harrogate, is it Harrogate?
Massam, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I got so much stick for taking my children there.
Yeah.
How dare I take my children to a family tourist place? And I said to everybody, I said, like, My girls are, one, they are so protected,
Yeah.
but two, they know so much about this, right?
Yeah.
They will never fall into the trap of touching a Ouija board. They will never fall into the trap of doing a black mirror. They will never fall into a trap of going down the satanic route or the Wicca route or anything. My children are so protected spiritually and physically, with me and my dad around them, and we've got alarm systems, we've got dogs, we've got everything. Like, we've got everything on my girls. They are protected to the hilt. And spiritually, and the knowledge they have. So my girls, they use TikTok. All their friends use TikTok. So I will never make my girls be any different, because if they want to do that, they want to do Snapchat, that's fine. But you know what my girls do? They see a video on TikTok, right, that they go, hang on a minute, that's a bit weird. They'll go, Mum, have you seen this? And the amount of videos that have got satanic undertones, that have got horrific influences behind them, that have got anything that's not right. There was a disgusting one a few weeks ago, and it was my youngest, who's 10, it popped up on her because it was on the For You page or something on TikTok.
I've never done TikTok because I'm nearly 50. I think it's immorally wrong to be on TikTok at 50. You know what I mean?
See, I'm not on it, but my girls are. And there was this horrific video of somebody slating. I don't even want to say it. It was just awful. It was just absolutely awful. And my 10-year-old came up and she said, Mum, I don't like this. And it's brilliant because my girls are so on it. And I'm like, report, because they know right from wrong. Whereas so many other children had watched that. Oh, that's normal then, is it? Oh, that's normal then. But my girls go, red flag, straight away. And it's like at school, they're really, really good because my eldest, I homeschool my youngest. My eldest, she goes to high school. And even when she was at primary school, if she saw a child at school that she was concerned about or something, she would say, Mum, and we'd talk about it, and I'd go, maybe say this or maybe do this, and she would support children that she felt needed it. And to me, that's beautiful that my girls, being so young, they are so clued up on the rights and wrongs in this world. They are so clued up on, I'd rather live in a world where I didn't have to educate them on Satanism and paedophiles and racism and all these other horrible things that are in the world. I would rather I didn't have to educate them on that. But I've always said knowledge is power, and I will forewarn my children and any other child of the dangers that there are in this world, because I'd love to live in a beautiful world where everything was rosy and no children were hurt and exploited and trafficked and used for selling drugs, and I'd love that, but we don't. Let's get real. Let's get real. Look outside your windows. Look at what's going on in your street. Take a look around you and you will see that we don't live in a beautiful world. And then you might think, actually, maybe I should educate my children. I should let them know what the red flags are. I'm not saying I'm a perfect mother, because no one is. But
it's like these days as well, there's Nickelodeon and all these kids channels. There's all images and satanic images and cartoons and stuff.
There's a programme. So I was looking at Masonic symbols on my phone, right? So I'm flicking through, looking at these Masonic symbols. I'd been somewhere. I go to that many places. Oh my goodness. I live in my car. So I'd been somewhere anyway, and I was flicking through these Masonic symbols, and then my little 10-year-old sat next to me, and I thought she was watching the telly, but she was looking over my phone, over my shoulder. And she said, that's on Nickelodeon. And I went, what? And she said, and I think it was the one with, the Illuminati. The
all-seeing eye.
Triangle with the eye at the top and the rays out. Yeah. And she said, I can't remember what programme she said it was on. She said, that's on... I can't remember what programme it was, but it's on a programme on Nickelodeon. My 10-year-old spotted that, and I was like, oh, thanks, baby. Good girl. Well done. And they see everything, absolutely everything, but they are interested in it. For example, yesterday, not an ideal Saturday afternoon with my girls, so I thought, let's have a chilled day at home. We'll go do the horses. My children have got horses. We'll go do the horses. And it was chucking it down with rain. And they said, should we call at the churches on the way home from the yard? What for? And they wanted to go and look because I've noticed in a lot of places that are linked to SRA, there's a particular stone with a symbol on it.
Okay.
And I'm finding this in every site I go to that is linked to SRA. This particular stone is there.
Right.
And my girls know about it. So they'd said, let's go see if it's on any of the churches at home in our town. So we've got 4 churches. So it was bouncing it down with rain. And me and my girls walked around every church in our town because they wanted to look at every church to see if it was there. And it wasn't in any of ours at home. And we all went, well, that was a good afternoon's work, wasn't it?
So what is the stone? Is there anything particular on the stone?
I don't really want to reveal it because then they might take it down.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
All right. Okay. Well, tell me after kind of thing.
Of course I can.
Yeah,
of course I
thank
can.
you very much.
Yeah, because I don't really want to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
then
of course. Yeah.
And then So yeah, my girls are just a font of knowledge.
Have you ever had like an Alex Jones Bohemian Grove moment where you've actually seen anything satanic going on? You know the Alex Jones thing where he's meant to have Bohemian Grove in California where all the world leaders are meant to go.
Right.
There's a big owl, Morlock.
Oh, Morlock,
and
yeah.
they all kind of dress up in robes
Yeah.
and perform a fake child sacrifice. This is where all the presidents and CEOs and Alex Jones is meant to...
All the VIPs?
Well, yeah, exactly. Meant to have stumbled in with his camera and kind of dodgily, like rough steady cam, filmed this kind of thing. So,
yeah.
Have you ever like kind of stumbled on anything? What's happened? Or no. It's a good job.
Not for trying.
No.
I have tried.
Yeah.
I do surveillance, and to my mother's detest, and I do a lot of surveillance, and I will be out all night. And I will go everywhere. Yeah. And I drive around and I'll be climbing over walls in the dark by myself and I'm hiding in bushes. Wow. And I'm like bloody Commando Jane. And I've been everywhere trying. But so's Wilfred Wongs for 30 years.
Yeah.
And you very, very, very rarely catch them at it because, like I say to John, Satanism is it's been going for years. Generations.
Thousands of years, hasn't it, really?
And they have got such a solid system in place that it is going to take something remarkable to break it. They've got hierarchy, they've got organisation, they've got so many skills, they've got people everywhere. Like John was saying the other week when we did the education talk on the hierarchy, on the pyramids.
Yeah.
You've got the spotters, you've got the lookers, do you know what I mean? You've got so much going on, right, that for us to catch them at it would be remarkable.
Yeah.
I pray every day that I will catch them because I really, really want to.
Yeah.
I want evidence that they're doing it. I know they're doing it because I've spoken to so many survivors. But catching them is it's a whole different thing. We've been close quite a few times. But even when you go to a site is active, so you'll go to a site that is active, you'll get there for 11 o'clock or whatever, and you'll know that they'll be you kind of flip-flop between a couple of sites.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've been tailed is unreal. Right. And I get tailed, everything. I was up at one location, I was telling you a few weeks ago, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was up there, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. It's in the middle of nowhere, and we'd driven past one site, and then we'd gone up to this site, and then we're right at the top on this remote location, and then strangely enough, car headlights come round where my car's parked at 3 in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So and I've been to that location before, and that was about midnight. I was at that location, and I'd been there, and then I'd gone off somewhere else. I'd come back to that one. There was a car sat waiting, so I thought, I'll just chill, just be cool, just chill, just having fun, whatever. I go, that car follows me, I turn down one road, and then that one carried straight on, but another one came on right behind me, and they kept happening, right? That I would turn one way and then another car would drop on, another car would drop on. And I got towed for well over an hour. And they do, because they pay so many people, because these people have got so much money and they pay them. And so you are being watched the entire time. I am being watched the entire time.
Yeah.
John's being watched the entire time.
Yeah.
If we think...
At least somebody watches this channel anyway. Like, we get 3 viewers. We're glad if anybody watching.
There you go. They'll be watching just
You know.
to check what I'm saying and what we're up to. But we're kidding ourselves if we think that we aren't on their radar.
Yeah.
They follow everything we do.
Yeah.
They are always, unfortunately, one step ahead. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But there's an old saying, isn't there, with the police, that police only have to get lucky once, whereas criminals have to get lucky every time.
Yeah.
So for us to catch them, we've only got to get lucky once.
Yeah.
Every time they get away from us, they're getting lucky.
Yeah.
And we ain't going to stop. We are not going to stop.
Cool.
I'm definitely not going to stop. I know John won't.
No.
And we will beat this. But back to that question, will SRA ever be eradicated? I like to think so, but I am a realist. So
Do you think it's endemic in the society we live in, that it's kind of in from the elites downwards? It's just kind of like society is so...
it's entrenched.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for, kind of thing.
I don't think we'll see it eradicated in my lifetime.
No.
Or even my children's lifetime. But I like to think if the legacy my granddad left,
Yeah.
I've carried on, John's carried on, Wilfred's carried on. Wilfred knew my granddad, actually.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. My granddad gave Wilfred a platform in Parliament back in the very early 90s to talk about SRA.
So Wilfred's been at it a very long time.
Yeah, Wilfred's been at it about nearly 30 years.
Right.
So I think if we keep handing down the baton to our future generations and making it more and more difficult and keep disrupting and keep exposing, that one day it's going to be impossible, because we are waking up so many people to what is going on. All these people that have been walking around with their beautiful rose-tinted glasses on, turning a blind eye to all these poor children that are suffering. I think in generations to come, it's going to be so difficult, because everyone's going to know. And that is what I pray for. That is what I hope, that God will overcome this.
Absolutely. Have you ever felt like you've been... you know, you said talk about your children being protected. I'm sure you're talking as well about like spiritually protected.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you've been told you've been cursed, you had curses put on you and stuff like that, or because energy directed towards you? Because I know stuff like that works, because I know somebody, I won't name him, and his mother taught him how to curse, but he used it willy-nilly, and a lot of people, when he cursed, either became very serious or died.
Yeah.
You know, but so do you have protection, that spiritual protection around you and all that kind of thing, or you just more faith in?
No, me and my girls have recently been baptised.
Okay, yeah.
By Pastor Joseph. He's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. A real one of God's real warriors.
Yeah.
He's a really, really strong man, and he is so amazing. I've got so much time for him. So we were baptised, me and my girls. Although we've all been christened, I thought, you know what, the work I'm in, I've got physical protection around me, but I need to be protected in here.
Yeah.
So that, tell you what, actually really, really spurred that on. I'd been talking about it for ages. I'd been talking about, I need to get us all baptised. And it was one of those things that I just kept saying and never got round to, because there's never enough hours in the day.
No.
So that day I went to Druid's Temple. When I left, I started with a migraine. And I thought it was because I was tired, because I'd been up doing surveillance in Scotland the day before. And so I thought it was because I was tired. And so I got home and I took some tablets and I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I felt dreadful. I felt so poorly. I felt sick, but like not like I couldn't describe it. The feeling in my stomach was horrific, and my head was crippled. You know when you've got such a headache and you can't stand up and you're like this. And so I took some more tablets and I went back to bed. And next morning I still felt dreadful, and I was trying so hard to carry on with my day, but I felt so ill. And then Monday tea time, I was talking to my friend, the demonologist, and then I clicked and I thought, I felt ill since I've been at Druids.
Okay.
This is a demonic attack, and I knew exactly what was going on. And then he said, you cannot fear it. You cannot fear what's going on. You really, really need to, you've got to be strong. Don't show it any fear. And I kind of did that, and he sent me some prayers to say, and it dissipated. It was the weirdest thing. And it dissipated, and I was like, what on earth? So, but I think it wasn't the Monday, it was a Tuesday night. I felt poorly for 2 days. 2 days I felt really, really unwell for. And it literally dissipated. It just went. The following week I went back to Druids, and I went with a friend of mine. We went to walk the dogs and to show him what we've come across and things like that. And he's been my best friend for about 13 years. Really, really good friend. So we went to walk the dogs and for a walk around there. And we're walking along, and I'd been there about 5 minutes. And it wasn't a warm day. It was really embarrassing, actually. But we were walking along, and I had just like a little gilet on and a little flimsy T-shirt. And I started sweating. And I was sweating and sweating to the point where it was dripping off my face and it was running down my back. And I was like, why is it so hot today? And I got in such a fluster.
Yeah.
And my friend goes, Lou, but it's like 11 degrees. And he said, look around. There was people there with big coats on and things. Yeah. And no joke, I was dripping. You know when you get it all down your back and your top goes wet in that V? I was like this, dripping off, and I was flustered, and I was like, what on earth? And I got myself in a real fettle. And in my bag, I've got this little electric fan. So I sat down on this bench. I pulled my boots off, and I'm sat there with bare feet on this bench with this fan, right? And I've gone all goose pimply talking about it. And I was just, he said, are you sure you're all right? No joke, my hair was soaked. Yeah. I was soaked, and I kept wiping myself on my sleeves and things. And he was like, are you okay? Like, you look grim. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. Again, couldn't figure out again. And it took me about half an hour of sitting on this bench with this fan to cool down, right? And then I pulled my boots back on and we left. And I was like, that was weird. And when we left, I felt fine again. And I was like, a bit strange. And then again, I was talking to my friend and he went, demonic attack again. And I thought, right, okay, this is Joseph. I really, really need some protection now. Can we sort this out? Come round, my sister, come round. So me and my girls went to Joseph's and he baptized us. He's got a pool at his house and stuff, and he does it there. And it was beautiful. It was just stunning, and the atmosphere was beautiful. And I recommend it to anybody. Before I did so much work on SRA, I didn't understand how much faith leads you in your life and how much of the Bible is relatable. Yeah. Joseph's fabulous son, he's got a gorgeous son, he's 15, and he's amazing. And he was laughing at me because I didn't know how to read a Bible. I've never been to Sunday school. Yeah. I was not an ideal student at high school.
A rebel.
To put it nicely, I was a rebel. I was not an academic. I could not sit in a room and be told, do this, do this, do this. Yeah. I just thought, no, mate, I've got better things to be doing. My brain is too busy to be sat doing laborious stuff. It just didn't sit right with me. I couldn't deal with it. So I never learned how to read a Bible. So we were at Joseph's about to be baptized, and his son was like, seriously, you don't know how to? And because my friend had emailed me and said, read Revelations something, and it was Wilfred actually that told me to do that. He emailed me and said, read this, and I didn't know how to look it up. I was like, I tried, but I don't know. I couldn't do it. And he was like, you being baptized, I never realized how relatable the Bible is. That's the biggest thing for me, is now that I've started fellowship after being baptized really, really recently, and spending time with Joseph and Tim and other Christian friends, I've realized that the Bible, there's so much in it that relates to life today.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
The
thing.
mark of the beast and all this kind of thing. Well, it's either the vaccine or the chip.
There's just so much, and you can relate it to what you're doing here and now. And Joseph is a font of knowledge. I spent a few hours with him the other day, and I would say a scenario to him, and he would go, right, Matthew 12:22, whatever, blah, blah, and he'd pull it up and he'd go, right, read this to me, sister. And I'd read it to him. And then some of the words I don't quite understand. So he'd put it in layman's terms for me.
It for you and such.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he told me to buy a study Bible.
Okay.
So I've done that because I had a Bible, and then he told me to buy a study Bible because then at the bottom that gives you so much more information.
Okay.
So I've done that because it, like you said, decodes. So I can sit at home and read that now. And the fellowship is just as important, if not more important, than the baptism itself. And it's like... when you're so I then went back to Druids as a test.
Okay.
After I'd been baptized, and I was there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I was fine. Nothing happened to me, nothing. And I learned more. Because I was so aware that day, because I didn't feel sick, because I didn't have a headache, because I wasn't dripping in sweat. It then opened my eyes, and I could look at more of what was going on there, and I was like, hang on a minute. And I felt so much more about what had occurred there. It's really, really weird. I've got this like empathy when I go to places where things have happened. I can feel it.
Feel vibes.
I can really, really feel it. And so I'd gone and I felt fine, and it was lovely. I had like this strength around me, and it's like Joseph was explaining to me. He said, when you have no faith, your house is empty. So your body is your home. So when you don't have anybody in your house is empty and you have no faith. When you accept God into your life, he's then living in your soul. So when a demon tries to invade you or...
Like squatters.
Cause you any harm, the house is full. God is stood there blocking the door going, on your bike, mate, no room here, try somewhere else. And it's like this coat of armour. And you feel so strong. It's like I was up in Scotland. I was up here. I went to Lennox Town Castle Hospital. Did you see that one? I did.
There was a loads of children's bodies found. I'm on the wrong one.
You're at Quarriers there.
Sorry.
So there's another video I did the night before that, and I'd gone up to Lennox Town Castle Hospital, and it's up in Lennox Town near Glasgow, and it's this former hospital, right? So it was built as a maternity hospital, which is a bit bizarre in the first place because it's so up out of nowhere. And it literally looks like a castle. Okay, so they built this castle, then it was a maternity, it built it for a maternity, then it was then turned into like a children's home, and then it's got some psychiatric links to it as well. And I think it could house at any time up to 1,500 children. And the energy there was horrific. It was burnt down I don't know how, there was a big fire there in 2008. So there's like the ruins there. So I went.
So it's not active, obviously it's not just a shell anymore.
It is, you'll have to have a look at it.
I won't find
it's you can see there's a demonic spirit behind me in one of the videos.
Really,
the demonic spirit's a woman stood behind me in one of the videos. I'm stood filming, and she's literally over my shoulder and she's moving around. It's a bit creepy. It's not a great video. The signal kept going, and I didn't think to start filming. So we turned up, and I was just going to have a rummage around. And then we started, me and a friend of mine, another pastor. So me, my mum, a friend, and the pastor had gone up there to Scotland. So we left my mum and my friend outside, and me and the pastor went in, climbed through the fence, it's open, started rummaging around. And then I was in there and I was like, oh my God, I really should share this place. Just because it was so dark and so, you could feel the sadness. That I thought, if I share it, people who were here may come forward and tell us about this place. So when I first got there, I'd had my phone on charge in the car and I had 45% battery. And we'd gone, and you can climb up into like the main bit of the hospital. And then there was like a tunnel down here. So you had to climb down the rubble and then drop off a ledge, and then you can go under this black tunnel.
All right.
So it was a bit creepy. So I was with a pastor. So I was like, I've got God here. He is in me. And I felt empowered. It was really cool, because normally I'm a bit like, oh no, I'm going to do this because I have to. Because it was literally a black tunnel you couldn't see.
Right.
And so we were like, yeah, let's go and have a look. So we climbed down, jumped off, went through this tunnel, and then we'd gone through the other rooms and stuff in this like basement. And where the building had a fire, all the ceilings that were left were all bowing and stuff like that. And it wasn't ideal to be in there. It was not ideal.
Health and safety standards.
I know, right? So, and I thought, I need to film this. But I didn't want to climb all the way back out to start at the beginning. So I thought, I'm just going to go from where I am. And it suddenly got so dark. It was light when we got there, but it suddenly just went really dark. But I thought, I'm here, I need to share it. I'm not driving 3 hours back up to Glasgow to do it next week in the daytime. So I started doing this live. And I had so much interference. It kept glitching and stuff like that. People were commenting, going, I've lost you, Lou, da 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 da. And then my mum was with my friend. And there was this spirit walking around near my friend, and because my friend can feel it and see it, and she kept turning her back on it, and then it walked around the back of my mum, and so she's then like this, trying to turn away, and she's trying her best to ignore it. And then she said it walked round, and it was, she said it was like it was saying to me, come round here, come on. And I thought, yeah, it wants to lead you off the edge of a bloody cliff. That's why it wants you to go around there. But she was ignoring it. So my mum was like, it's getting dark. My daughter is in that falling down haunted castle. What the hell is going on? So I'm doing a live feed going, hi guys, just thought I'd better share this with you. I obviously forgotten to turn my phone on silent when all this is going on. My mum is ringing me. And I'm like, reject, right? And so my mum, I put that out there. It's not the best video. That was my mum panicking, constantly ringing me.
There's nothing worse when you're in a live video and somebody's ringing you.
I know. She didn't have to get a ticking off. She was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Take a hint, mother. So, bless her. But she's so sweet. She's so cute. So, we had a rummage around this place. And, the feeling there was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. But you can feel it, I feel, through the video. You can feel how awful it is. And the stories I read up about it afterwards, and the information that people sent to us afterwards, it confirms everything that I saw and felt while we were there.
So they've been taking children from there for abuse and ritual abuse and murder and all that carry on. Yeah,
I don't know whether it was ritual abuse that's occurred there. I know it's horrific abuse. I know it's absolutely horrific. There is a few people going through court cases at the moment that have spoken out about the abuse that went on there. I think it closed in the early 2000s, so it was open till quite recently. And the abuse that went on. There was a lady that I spoke to who, a very, very interesting lady, and she told me that there were still shackles in the basement. That's what I was looking for. She said they're still there in the basement, so that's why I was climbing around looking, because I thought if I could find these, photograph them. Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking.
Shocking.
You can't see, the thing is, like John says this a lot, and I completely agree, that when we say, oh my gosh, that's so scary, or oh my gosh, like someone's threatened me, oh my gosh, somebody's trolling me, because I get trolled, so does John. And I think the feeling of that is nothing compared to a small child being shackled in a basement in the middle of nowhere. The fear that must go through these poor babies. Troll me all you like. Don't bloody care, because I'm going to carry on going, because what you make me feel is nothing compared to what that child has felt.
From what I can gather with most of these trolls, I mean, there's pictures of John with bags of food, and he's going and giving them out to people in need, and you're doing stuff, you're meeting victims and talking to them. Most of these trolls are just sat in their mum's back bedroom, you know what I mean?
They are.
And then they're all frauds and they're taking the money.
Yeah.
But they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Other than just... Do you think a lot of this trolling's organised? Because we put a video on with John, and bang, we had about 239 comments, didn't we, Colin, kind of thing. And the weird thing was, the dislikes kept going up and down. Now, as you know, you can't control dislikes on your video. And then they were saying, yeah, they're complete frauds because they're manipulating the dislikes and things like that. But it seemed completely organised, because it just wasn't. It was as soon as the video went up, it was like bang. Is that what happens to you as well?
We did tell you that would happen.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I'm a bit of a narcissist, you see, so it's narcissistic supply. Any attention's good attention. You know what I mean, kind of thing. But so it wouldn't bother us. That it's like water off a duck's back. But
yeah,
you know. And so do you get that the same as John?
Yeah.
That all these idiots, and there's one I won't mention. There's a fellow who dresses up like Lady Gaga's grandma. And,
God. Doesn't he make your toes curl and your skin crawl?
But what are they doing? They're just...
Exactly. What are they doing? All the effort and energy that they put into slagging us, go out and help the local people. Go out and help the vulnerable.
Yeah.
Go litter pick. Go feed the vulnerable. Go do something productive, because we know that we are getting off our backsides and we are doing something that no one else wants to do. And the reason no one else wants to do it is because it's bloody terrifying. It's dangerous as anything, and God knows what we are uncovering. It is petrifying. It's like when for example, up at Lennoxtown, God knows what I could have found in those places. I'm crawling around these terrifying, haunted places to reveal them and out them and encourage people to come forward. And I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep on doing that. And I'm doing it to hopefully give people strength and say, look, I recognise the hurt and the pain that went on here. If you want to talk, babe, I'm here. And we're really, really lucky. We've got vetted therapists and counsellors and all sorts that offer their time to our survivors and victims that come forward, and they do that for free. And we're so lucky at the John Wedger Foundation that we've got so much support. We are so lucky that people are doing that.
The trolls just have it that you just take all the money and you're driving around in Lamborghinis and just shit like that. But you actually, well, it is a nice Lambo what you've got outside, actually.
It is, isn't it?
The latest model, just off the lines, but...
I know, I had to go for yellow because it's so subtle.
Fair play to you, but like I said, what you're doing, you know... They're doing absolutely nothing, just sat at home with a cup of soup in a roll up, you know what I mean?
Exactly. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is all we rely on is donations, right? So each week, so an average week for me, I'll probably drive 400 or 500 miles.
Yeah.
And some of that is off donations, the rest is out of my own pocket. And it's the same with John. Wherever we go, we do it out of our own pockets. I've got a friend, right, who's got a cleaning company, and some days I will go and scrub toilets with her so that she can then put some fuel in my car to pay for me to go to a protest. That's how desperate I am to keep going, because I'm not going to stop. I can't afford to keep... I can't afford to do this, and I just on donations and things like that. So we've got to find a way. So she will give me 40 quid in fuel to get me to Manchester and back. And that's how desperate times are. Like, I'm a single mum, 2 girls, and I don't have spare money. So trolls can sit at home and they can bitch and they can moan and they can criticise us for this, that and the other. But I'm sorry, darling, what are you doing?
But in karma points, it's like the Tesco club points, but in karma, you're racking up loads of good karma kind of thing, and it'll all come back, you know, on you what you do. I'm not making light of it. It will. It's all good energy. It's all good what you're doing, and that will all come back. I know that's not the reason you're doing it. You know, but just leave them to it. They're all puddled down.
Oh, I know. See, I think because I've seen how badly my granddad was trolled, it doesn't bother me that much. I look at the videos and laugh. a lot of the time, especially the man dressed as the woman. And there's another guy.
Do you think they're organised, or do you think they're?
Do you think they're mentally stable?
But do you think they're paid other than universal credit? Do you think they're on any payrolls, or are they just cranks?
I think there's a combination.
Yeah.
I think there is a combination. But I've lost my thread now.
We was on about trolling and.
Yeah, because I've seen how badly my granddad got trolled for what he was exposing. I do laugh, and I do laugh with my friends and say, you know what? We're on to the right thing. It's a badge of honour. Yeah. You want to troll me, go for it, because that means that I'm putting a bit of heat on you and you don't like it. And there's another group who's, they're called SAF.
Okay.
Right, based in Leeds. Ugh, horrific, absolutely horrific. And they post rubbish about me on Twitter every other day. There's this man sat hiding behind a laptop whose face you never see, probably in his mum's back bedroom. And he writes all these articles slagging me off, slagging my granddad off, slagging John off because I work with John. Yeah. You never see his face. He doesn't turn up at protests to come and have a conversation with me face to face. People have got, all these trolls have got that opportunity. You know where we're going to be. We'd say that we're going to be at Glasgow, that we're going to be at Nottingham, we're going to be at Manchester. You know what? Instead of writing rubbish online, come and have a conversation with me. Yeah. Come and talk about it. Get it out in the open.
In the words of Oscar Wilde, there's only one thing must have been talked about, and that's not being talked about kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just... It is what it is, but thank you very much, Lou, for coming down to see us today. It's been brilliant. Have you anything you'd like to say before we wrap up? Or anything?
I don't think so.
No, that's fine. Thank you. I'd like to thank this week's donators to the channel. I've got the names here. No one's donated, but thanks very much. I appreciate that. You know, I'll carry on. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any links below, we'll put a link to the Wedgie Foundation below the video. Have you any other links you'd like to?
Oh, Wilfred's page. Wilfred's page.
You've got a YouTube page as well, haven't you?
No, I just team up with John. Okay. Yeah, I team up with John. Put one for Wilfred on.
Wilfred Wongs page on it as well. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. Hopefully we'll have a better hairstyle. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say hopefully have a better guest.
No, nothing like that. But the final closing thought is don't go to bed with wet hair and sleep safe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.